It's
like, but then like saying that every December, I'm like, it's gonna be quiet December, and then it never is. No, it's like I should stop lying.
That's the
rule.
That's gotta
Take
be
it out of.
Right.
Did you go to Barbara's retirement?
False impression.
Tony's gonna be the new, where's Tony at? You know?
Yeah, where's Tony? Listen,
I'm just trying.
Did Potter take it? Ah.
You got the big mic.
Big mics everywhere.
Exactly.
I
think it is. Got lots of big mics.
All right, are we
We're ready.
we ready? Okay, yeah, go ahead. Let's do a roll call so we can call the meeting to order.
All right, good morning, everyone. It is, just make sure we are ready, fully ready. Okay, we are ready to start and we're going to do roll call. Since we are broadcasting live, when I call your name, please confirm your attendance by saying aye. We're going to go and order the agenda. Janita Igualier.
Aye.
Marlene Fonseca.
Aye.
Chad Boggio.
Here.
Esteban Lazardo.
Here.
Malika Billups.
Here.
Matthew Rudnick, sorry.
Present.
Paul Gerard sitting in for Matt Zabo.
Present.
Todd Bowie sitting in for Patrice Lattimore.
Present.
You have a quorum.
All right, awesome. Okay, well, let's go ahead and move on to public comment.
Anybody who would like to make a public comment that's in room, please bring your speaker card up to the front. If for anybody who is attending via virtually, if you could press *9 on your phone to be able to be put into the speaker queue. There are no speakers in the queue and no one's walking to the front.
Okay, well, let's keep it rolling and move on to action items. Committee report 2542, dependent eligibility verification services findings and recommendation report. Good morning, how are you?
Good morning. Right. Good morning. It's Karina and Gabby here, analysts with employee benefits, here to present your findings and recommendations for the dependent eligibility verification audit services RFP. So taking a look at page 1, at its May 1st, 2025 meeting, the JLMBC approved the release of the RFP for Dev Audit Services, which was formally issued on August 8th. A pre-proposal conference was followed on August 21st. And by the September 18th deadline, the city received 3 proposals from Part D Advisors, PDA, Secova Inc., and TELUS Health. All proposals were reviewed by the Personnel Department staff for compliance with the city's general contracting requirements, and all 3 proposers passed the initial threshold. Staff then proceeded with the formal evaluation process as outlined in the RFP. As seen on page 2 of the report, the goal of this procurement was to select a qualified vendor to provide expert dev services for the LAL program. Vendors were expected to demonstrate the ability to deliver the full scope of services, strengthen communication efforts, enhance member experience, and remain responsive to city needs. The evaluation process consisted of 2 levels. As noted on pages 2 and 3, the first level was contractor compliance. So this included documentation, compliance with administrative and contracting needs, meeting minimum qualifications, and completing all required components of the proposal. All 3 proposers passed this phase. And then taking a look at the bottom of page 3 through 5, this refers to the second level, which was the technical and cost evaluation. The review committee, comprised of 2 city raters and 1 Siegel consultant, evaluated the proposals across 84 rated questions in 3 major areas: service delivery, ongoing services, and technology and security. That's totaling 500 qualitative points, plus the fees totaling in 500 quantitative points for a maximum of 1,000 points. Each qualitative response received a rating from unsatisfactory to excellent, converted to a numerical value. Siegel conducted an independent peer review to support the city's assessment. However, only the review committee scores determine the final ranking.
Thanks, Karina. Good morning, everyone. So all proposers met minimum requirements, but their outreach and communication approach varied in style. So on pages 10 through 13, some key distinctions are as listed. PDA and Secova both offered 100% FTE call center representatives focused solely on the city's dev audit. However, TELUS noted that their call center reps would not only be supporting the city, but would also be assisting other clients at the same time. Secova was unique with their communication approach by offering a 3-wave outreach plan that included 9 reminder contacts. In addition, Secova was the only one to include SMS text messaging as one of their outreach initiatives. Regarding reporting capabilities, Secova offered real-time monitoring of call metrics, TELUS offered proprietary case tracking tools, and PDA offered weekly update reports on member responses. PDA and Secova also confirmed the ability to administer ongoing spousal verification. TELUS did not fully address how it would provide a new or expanded ongoing spousal verification service beyond existing workflows. For the fee quotations of the RFP, each of the three proposers provided a cost per dependent for the primary dev audit. It was calculated based on an approximate total of 33,000 members. As seen on page 8, the rates are as followed. PDA was at $7.80 per dependent, Secova at $7.44, and TELUS at $13 per dependent, plus an additional $20,000 implementation fee. For the ongoing spousal verification, the per spouse fee was calculated based on an approximate total of 16,000 members. On page 7, the per spouse fees are as listed. PDA's rate was at $11.61, Secova at $8.97, and TELUS at $13. Taking a look at the bottom of page 8 and 9 of the report, the review committee produced the following results. TELUS at 609 points, PDA at 741 points, and Secova at 768 points. PDA offered fewer outreach touchpoints and offered higher spousal verification fees. TELUS, while familiar with the city's current enrollment environment, offered fewer dedicated resources and the highest costs for all fee quotes. So overall, Secova offered the lowest cost for both the primary audit and ongoing spousal verification. Secova's proposal was consistently aligned with the goals of the DEV RFP, and their strengths included extensive experience, a dedicated call center model, multi-channel outreach, including SMS, comprehensive incident response and security posture, and the most competitive pricing. So based on the comprehensive evaluation, the review committee recommends Secova as a top-ranked proposer pending successful contract negotiations. Secova's combination of service delivery capabilities, customer-focused approach, and cost-effective strategies puts them as the strongest candidate to meet the needs of the LA Well program and its members.
All right, any questions or discussion?
Good morning. Is this on? Yeah. Good morning.
How does this
Thank you for your presentation and your work on this. I noted on page 2, there was some discussion about lack of external verification database in these proposals. And so I was just wondering, is that something that staff feels is important and needs to be part of this? Or is this something where what we've received is adequate to the purpose of this RFP?
So that's something that we want to discover more with the selected vendor, whoever the selected vendor is. There's a question. There's an overall question if the cost of additional effort in doing that is worth the benefit, right? To identify fraud, to identify someone who is purposely providing a document that's not true. When we were talking with Siegel kind of about the overall perspective of it, it's not as simple as just checking one database. People that get a divorce, which I just found out, I didn't know this was a thing, but people that get a divorce can do it in multiple different counties, and you have to search each county's records independently. It's not a global search. So there is a question of what the effort would be entailed, but it's something we want to look into.
So it's something that may be able to be negotiated or further understood with the
Yeah,
selected vendor.
exactly.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All right, can we get a motion to approve?
I make the motion. I'll second.
That was easy enough then.
All right. So then we're going to go ahead and take a, was there another question?
No, I was just saying excellent work on the RFP.
We're going to go ahead and take a roll call vote again in the same order. So Janita, your vote.
Yes.
Janita votes aye. Marlene, your vote.
Aye.
Marlene votes aye. Chad, your vote.
Aye.
Chad votes aye. Esteban, your vote.
Yeah.
Esteban votes aye. Malika, your vote.
Aye.
Malika votes aye. Matt, your vote.
Aye.
Matt votes aye. Paul, your vote.
Aye.
Paul votes aye, and Todd, your vote.
Aye.
Todd votes aye. It's unanimous vote. Motion passes.
Okay, awesome. Our next action item, committee report 2543, election time.
All right. So this is the standard concept that we bring forth to the JLMBC under the bylaws. The bylaws require that we have a vote at the last meeting before the start of the new fiscal year or calendar year, excuse me. And then also under the bylaws, it is required that the positions switch in authority between the joint members. So for this current year, we are in an odd year. So a labor representative is a chair and a management representative is the vice chair. That's going to switch for 2026 as an even year. And we have 4 positions total. We had added the first provisional chairperson position and second provisional chairperson position a few years ago. Those rarely ever do effort of any kind, but also switch. Well, I mean, as far as doing something with the meeting, doing something, but we do need a nomination for each position. And we can do it in a couple different ways. We've done it before as one collective where everybody nominates all 4 positions and then we take one vote, or we can do them one by one. It is your decision on how to move forward. Before we get to that nomination package, the report also includes the in section B, the proposed calendar of meetings for 2026. There is not a January meeting scheduled because it lands on the holiday, but we're likely going to need to have a special meeting because there's actually a good amount of topics to cover in the beginning part of 2026. And then the committee report in attachment B also includes the subcommittee membership. Just for reference, we only have one subcommittee right now as an ad hoc, no standing subcommittees. The concept would be that the subcommittee membership would continue in 2027, sorry. But the JLMBC can always make changes. So with that, you are able to make nominations.
All right.
Yes, we collectively nominate Malika Phillips. Fearlessly. Yeah, I would second that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes,
That's bipartisan.
I appreciate it.
That's right. With bipartisan support. You can't go wrong.
So a first and second for chair. Do you want to do everything collectively as
Yeah.
one vote?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for vice chair?
I think it's more appropriate that our labor friends
Oh.
make
Yeah.
that. Like, I'm not going to.
Nominate Janita.
Second if it's required.
Perfect. We have a first and a second for Janita. Then the next position would be first provisional chair, management member.
Matt? Paul?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and nominate Tony Royster.
Okay.
Second.
First and a
What you
second
get
for
for not being here?
Wanted it.
I thought we were joking.
We don't do anything.
And I'm gonna nominate.
In a second.
Yes.
Okay. So we have a first and second for all positions. Just to recap, the nomination for chairperson is Malika Phillips. The nomination for vice chairperson is Janita Aguilier. The nomination for first provisional chairperson is Tony Royster, and the nomination for second provisional chairperson is Marlene Fonseca. We will go in the order that I have on my screen that you can't see, which is alphabetical by organization. So that means Lisa Palumbi, your vote.
Aye.
Lisa votes aye. Chad Boggio, your vote.
Aye.
Chad votes aye. Marlene Fonseca, your vote.
Aye.
Marlene votes aye. Esteban Lizardo, your vote.
Yeah.
Esteban votes aye. Janita Aguilier, your vote.
Yes.
Janita votes aye. Now going over to management side, Paul Gerard sitting in for Matt Zabo, your vote.
Aye.
Paul votes aye. Todd Bowie sitting in for Patrice Lattimore, your vote.
Aye.
Todd votes aye. Tony is not here. Malika Phillips, your vote.
Aye.
Malika votes aye. And Matt Rednick, your vote.
Aye.
Matt votes aye. It's unanimous.
Yay.
Thank
Thank you. Following your example.
All right, we can move on to the informational items. Right, was it
Yes.
benefit provider presentation?
And Keenan and Standard, I think are gonna come for a presentation.
Good morning. I'm Terry Graff with Keenan, and I'm introducing the standard. So we have Jennifer Queen and Kari Furman with us today, and they'll be presenting on the short-term disability, long-term disability, and then there's also a buy-up voluntary disability plan. So they'll go through that experience and how the plan's running. It's been running really well. We actually got a rate reduction for 2026. So I'll turn it over to Jennifer.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. We're just backing up here. There we go. Hello. So just a Jennifer today, please feel free to jump in and ask questions at any time. It's always nice when these are conversational. We'll go through a little summary of the plan, as well as our history together, the current participation, as well as the past 5 years, and then we'll talk about claim activity specifically. Next slide, please. All right. So this just gives a summary of the program. So the city provides a basic short-term and long-term disability benefit to all your employees. This past year, you guys increased the maximum on that, which was a great addition to the plan. Employees can enhance that coverage by buying up. So if they don't enhance it, they have a 50% income replacement coverage. If they do enhance it, they have 66 2/3. The financial plan, as Terry alluded to, is the financial experience has been very good over the last couple years. The box in the middle shows the loss ratio on the plans, which is a formula of claims versus premium, as well as the target for that. And then you can see on both the STD and LTD, they're performing under target. Given that, we are reducing rates January 26th. So the base STD plan is being reduced by 6% and the base LTD plan by 35%. So good news with rate reductions this year. In that, we're also realigning the buy-up rates. So overall, this is a premium neutral move. But what it does is it basically redistributes the rates to match the risk. So the rates are done by age band. And so we've restructured them to give the essentially lowest rates to the age bands that are the lowest risk, but overall premium neutral. And that's really to help with plan participation. And then alongside that, there is a 3-year rate guarantee that was proposed. Next slide. So this just gives a high-level view of information we'll dig into, regarding the claims experience. So that left-hand box talks about the plan in general, so the STD and LTD. Typically, what we see the highest incidence in and liability of are musculoskeletal conditions, so fractures, not fractures, that would be an accident, but any type of musculoskeletal issue. And then also we do see quite a few mental claims. The mental incidence is a little bit high compared to benchmarks. I would say seeing a lot of musculoskeletal claims at a city is very common. Airports and police are the highest users of the plan. And that's been pretty steady over the years, along with musculoskeletal claims being the highest. We do see quite a bit of use among recreation and sanitation employees as well. Just a note there at the bottom, the benchmarks we use vary a little bit. So we have, certain data in certain areas. Standard uses our own book of business as a benchmark. We use public sector when looking at the city. We also look specifically at California because our concentration here is very high. So where we can, we'll really pinpoint that benchmark as best as possible. And then we also use the Integrated Benefits Institute as a benchmark as well. Looking specifically at STD in the middle, you can see the claims ranked highest in frequency and liability. So musculoskeletal, maternity, and mental, they flip-flop between liability and incidence for the maternity and mental. This, again, is pretty typical to see this type of usage, just that mental incidence is a little high. Ages 50 to 59 were highest in incidence. I have to say that is a little different just because of maternity claims. We usually see higher incidence in lower ages, but that's reflected in the next age band that follows. So a little bit higher percent in older ranges compared to benchmarks, which could just be consistent with the population insured at the city. And then long-term disability. So again, highest incidence and liability by diagnosis. Pretty similar overall. Seeing cancer appear here. Accidents as all, I would say, pretty in line with benchmarks. Age 50, 59, highest in incidence and liability. I would say that's pretty aligned with benchmarks as well. And then we just noted here that 26% of the claims are work-related. You don't see this on the STD plan because STD only covers non-work related injuries due to the workers' comp overlap there.
What type of nervous claims do you see?
Nervous claims. So let's see. Can you go to the end, Paul?
Oh, if you're gonna get there, don't worry
Oh,
about it.
it's-
I was just curious.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like MS is a common one. There is, I'm sorry, I just didn't, I don't know why it didn't just roll off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Went blank for a moment. But yeah, I would say like MS is a common nervous claim. And then at the very end, there's an appendix and there is a slide fully listing all the diagnosis by code. Yeah, sorry about that.
On the work related, I'm sorry, just remind me, when, because if they're on work comp, like it's work related, and then they go, is this after state rate or when do they get long-term disability?
So long-term disability will actually is not it is after. We actually built that into the benefit waiting period.
We talked about
Yeah, that was a change just to sync that process up a little bit better. So it is after.
right after the work comp,
Yes.
the 1 year.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. History with the standard. So looking at the bottom right, it started a long time ago. We thank you for that. It's been a great partnership over the years, and we've been working with you since 1998 on the disability plan. The life coverage has come and gone over the years. We've supported that in the past as well. And then this just kind of talks about some milestone things that have happened over the years. Certainly, as we saw technology become more prevalent and available with these types of plans, we have put it in. So every time we see a new capability for the city, we're definitely eager to talk with you about it. And you've got great HR staff who has helped elevate those plans through technology. So a couple things there noted. Most recently in the top left, the negotiated rate reductions for the 26 renewal. And then, of course, the enhancements that came along in 2024. So that increased maximum benefit on the base coverage was a great one. Any questions about history?
Do
All
we
right.
still have the dedicated specialist?
You don't, no. But you do have what we consider our premier service model in this market space. So there is, so I am one of your people. I'm your overall strategic relationship manager. And then I'm lucky to be backed by a client manager. So we do also have a second layer of support on an account your size. So they will handle, because I'm out doing things like this, they'll be there for all escalated claims, anything. We do have more coverage on your account than our typical. Do you miss it?
Yes.
Okay,
My members do.
that's good to understand. And, I think that's definitely something we can talk with HR about, how we can, look to really continue that support with the model change. So I'll take note of that. Thanks for bringing it up, Marlene. All right. So the next slide talks about participation. I have mixed feelings about this one. I think, over the years, we've seen the disability buy-up not quite be where we want it to be. It's a little low. I think there's some things that drive that. The buy-up is really rich. It's a 66 and 2/3 plan. So if people buy it, it's great. It just, the price also reflects that somewhat. So they're going from a 50% benefit to 66 and 2/3, where they're almost going to get full income replacement at that point because the buy-up is non-taxable. I think another piece about the buy-up is it extends that long-term disability. So on that piece specifically up to age 65. So it is a huge enhancement going there. So it is a step up in price. So I think, that could drive part of it. We've seen it go down slightly over the years. It has been more slight until recently, I think the increased base benefit could drive that a little bit too. The city's providing more, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's a great thing you provided your members. What we're currently doing to try and help that a little bit is just resloping those buy-up rates on the LTD. So again, putting the price where the risk is to try and encourage, the right risk into that plan. Hopefully we'll see an increased number in the future. We're always happy to consult on plan design or whatever you need really to look at changing that at any time.
What's the target kind of buy-up percentage?
We usually like a minimum about 25%. And it varies. It's the plan design drives it so much, right? And that can just be all over the board. So it does vary, but minimum 25 is what we like to see. Thanks, Paul. You're reading my mind. Oh, you're reading my mind. Okay, thank you. Sorry. Got a lot of mind readers today. Okay, so this slide talks about incidents and liability over the last 5 years. We like to look at the last 5 years, even shorter with short-term disability, because there's so many claims, it's very credible quickly. So this really gives us the best predictor of the rates in the future. The blue line is paid premium coming in. The purple line are the benefits paid. And there does need to be a gap between the two to cover the expenses to run the plan. The gap was a little larger than we want to see it. So that's why you're getting a rate reduction this year. 2025, just to point out, is deflated numbers because the year's not complete. So we expect that to go up. But overall, the experience shows it's pretty good. And, it's pinging a little bit, but not too much. It's pretty steady. And that's what we'd expect to see with a plan this size. Next slide, please. So open and closed claims over the last 5 years. This is what you're going to see with STDs. Pretty much everything is closed now. So gray indicates those are closed claims and then blue claims open. This is just because of the duration of the benefit is short, and make sure that we are, doing our job by, seeing a steady number of open end claims. You kind of want to see it look pretty even like it does. Top diagnosis by benchmark. So this just breaks down a little bit more what we've already talked about. It shows specifically for this item, we looked at California's public administration business and standard. And this is how you sit comparatively. So seeing a little bit high on musculoskeletal compared also to IBI, but with standard, it's fairly, or excuse me, a little bit high across the board there. And then also again with the mental incidents. And then the box on the right just shows the liability portion, or excuse me. Yes, thank you. Okay, next slide again, please. Sorry. Okay, so this shows durations by year. So on the left-hand side, we're looking at the average claim duration by diagnosis. Seeing cancer at the top is really common. Those tend to be long duration claims. Nervous, circulatory, those are pretty common. You'll see mental down a little bit lower. So again, that benchmark where we're seeing it high is more on incidence versus liability and duration. And then the box on the right just shows it by year, gives a breakdown by year, and it's pretty steady. So reasons for claim closure, anticipated recovery date. So people going back to work, the end of the benefit period ceasing, returning to work. These are pretty common reasons to be number one. We've just, working with you guys for so long, we've talked to your accommodations department over time. We run into them here and there, and we know there's a really strong accommodations department. So at time we'll see that return to work bump higher too as being a more common reason. But we know you guys have a good plan in there. So now on to the LTD section. So you'll see kind of the similar graphs, but for the long-term disability benefit instead. So again, that blue line at the top is paid premium, and then benefits paid is the purple line. And then the blue, just light blue bars note the claim counts. So again, 2025 is deflated because it is not a complete year. Also with LTD in general, there's a lag because the claims start quite a bit later after the occurrence. So this just shows the experience has been running pretty steady. We do expect probably to see a bump up in one of the years. LTD is slightly, more volatile. Still pretty steady with you guys given the size and the amount of claims we see, but a little bit more volatile than STD just due to the frequency. Any questions on the LTD experience? Again, that gap was just larger than we wanted to see, so rate reduction. Next slide, please. So incurred reserves. So reserves. This is a fun topic. Hopefully eyes won't glaze over. So with long-term disability and particularly that buyout plan, reserves are really important because when we're looking at the buyout, we could see someone come in disabled at age 20 and possibly pay them benefits to 65. So the reserves are important to keep an eye on because they're what we're reserving out to pay for years to come and why we need to set them up on LTD claims. This is just showing what we start out. So the open claim reserves is the blue bar. IBNR is a complicated term that probably is, again, eyes glazing over, incurred but not reported. And it's just basically anticipating, we're putting money aside to anticipate risk for the future. We know there's claims incurred we haven't seen yet. And so we just watch to kind of see these lines and just make sure I think this provides accountability to you guys that we're preserving at the right amounts and not too high for the future. Open and closed claim again. So this looks a little bit different with LTD just because of the duration of how long how long the claims stay open. The city's always kind of a different one. Your information looks different than others. And this is because of that 2-year maximum benefit period on the base plan. So it kind of skews LTD. Like normally we'd expect to see more claims still open for LTD, but this is just really reflective of your plan design. And again, 2025 is a partial year. So top diagnoses versus benchmarks. So the liability percent of claims, the incidence is noted on the left hand there. And, seeing overall things being pretty in line with benchmarks, it does note mental is a bit high and musculoskeletal a bit high too. And then the right-hand graph just breaks it down by year.
Just wondering, with mental, like it's something you mentioned a few times with it being a bit high, has there been like more communication that it's available? Like I know like it could be just general life stress.
I think that is a lot of it.
I was just wondering, has there been like some sort of communication that like where folks maybe didn't know that it was something that they could benefit, that they could take advantage of before? Or
I feel like, and I kind of looking over at Paul, I feel like our communication plans around the disability have stayed fairly steady. I don't think it's due to that. That would not be my guess. I would say this is not uncommon in what we're seeing. You guys are high compared to benchmarks, but I'd say we've also seen benchmarks go up. I think there's a lot of outside factors.
just wondering.
It's complicated. And I'm sure, any other things going on at the city. And when you guys we definitely know, there might be something that comes about the health plan where you could, take advantage of this behavioral health benefit, things like that. I don't anticipate that's the driver. I think it's, as you alluded to, life a little bit.
Got it.
Yeah. Anything you'd add to that, Paul?
No, I think it's spot
on. Okay.
I had a follow-up question. There was a previous slide that you talked about some of the departments that see the highest kind of claims, and it seemed like it tracks against just the volume of employees in those departments. Can you adjust for that, or do you look at that like adjusted for the number of employees such that it's like, is there a higher proportion in certain civilian classifications or types of work people do relative to like claims for disability?
Within those departments?
Yeah.
So we're kind of as good as the information we get. So we get a data feed that helps us pay claims. It also shows breakdowns of reporting information. If we get data in that allows us to do the analysis, we can.
Okay.
And it's certainly, if there's interest, that's something we could talk with the HR folks about. Are there any other breakdowns that can be sent on the feed so we can label by that? But I can look at that as a takeaway to see if we're getting any further breakdown of that level of information.
Yeah, I guess like, for example, PD civilian, they have the highest number of civilian employees. So I would imagine they have the highest claims, but like as a proportion of their workforce, are they the highest? Does that make sense? Meaning, do they have like the highest proportion compared to how large they are?
Right.
That's I'm just curious.
Kind of how many claims compared to their population. That may be something we get. So Do you mind going to the appendix, please? I think we have a slide specifically that shows. There it is. We call it administrative union.
Yeah.
So this shows all of them.
I see.
But what is not in here is the total count of total count of employees in there,
Right.
which I think is what you're after.
Okay.
So we would have that
Yeah.
because they're, coming over. So we could say, the percentage of claims against the number of employees in the department. That could be probably something I could add to this slide.
And I asked just for context, I work for the Department of Rec and Parks and it was identified. And I'm just curious, is it a matter of just because we're a large civilian department or is it for other reasons? So
Yeah, a lot of times it's going to follow population. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But sometimes we do see it out of proportion with the percentage. So that is something we could probably just add as just what is the total claims compared to population for
Thank
this
you.
slide.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
You bet. And if you want that, so we typically come every year, but we can provide that whenever. So I could follow up with that addition to the slide.
Thank you.
You bet. Okay. So durations by year compared to the benchmarks, the city's always, again, this is going to be skewed because you're 2-year maximum benefit period on the base plan. So you're always going to look really strong compared to benchmarks, just because of that plan design. Next slide, please. The reasons for claim closure. So end of benefit period. This is another one skewed by that 2-year benefit period. Normally, we probably wouldn't expect to see that on LTD, but it makes sense given your plan design. Return to work is an awesome one to see as number 2. People are getting back to being healthy and going back and earning income and retirement benefits and all that. We love to see it. And again, I think the accommodations department here helps a lot with that. And that was it. There's just a couple slides in here. Do you mind going forward a couple more in the appendix? There's those diagnosis codes. So nervous, there you go. So MS was one I had noted. Narcolepsy, meningitis, Meniere's disease. Those are the kind of things we're coding as nervous. Any questions or additional information that would be helpful to know or see? See you thinking.
Yeah, I think it was a really dumb question, but that's okay. I'm gonna ask it anyway. And it's on slide 5. What do you mean? Can you explain loss ratio? I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's not a dumb question. Well, and I think, this is looked at different among coverages and things like that. So when we look at what we call just a simple loss ratio, we are taking the total claims dollars divided by the total premium dollars. And then again, we expect that to come in under 100% because we also need to pay the expenses for the plans. So the targeted loss ratio is always going to be well below 100 because we need to build in that retention piece.
Thank you.
You bet. All right. Well, good to see you guys. I hope everybody has a nice holiday. Thanks for having Standard.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, we can move on to committee report 2544, an update on the 2025 open enrollment communications campaign for plan year 2026.
So I'll be taking this one. This is an update. We're going to continue to bring updates on open enrollment all through the next few meetings because this is a different year. And this particular update is focused on what we have done since the close of the official open enrollment window, which was extended to November 7th. So on page 2 is a list of the communications that we identified. We had made a strong effort to try to get people to look at their confirmation statements right away. They're available online. They weren't available via print immediately, and that's standard practice or process, unfortunately, and just the logistics of getting things printed and mailed. But there are a number of people that don't have the ability to look online or desire or any other word you want to put in there probably to be able to go to that route and wait for that packet to come in the mail. And unfortunately, the last part on this page is there was a delay in getting all the communications out. So the confirmation statements are the only item that we have TELUS do within contract. All the communications that TELUS produces are a pass-through expense. that the city ends up paying for, except for this one. And for reasons that are still trying to be understood, the vendor that TELUS used didn't get the packets out until the day before the close period. So they all went out on the 25th, when the last correction day to report was the 26th. So we did a soft extension without advertising to allow anybody who called into the call center to be able to make a correction. And that was this week. The volume has been notably low, at least from what we have so far as reporting. I understand people are still getting their packets in the mail. I got mine on Tuesday. So we are still discussing how we can continue and make sure that people that have an honest correction can still have that correction done. So that is a work in progress. On page 3, we had discussed prior with the committee that there was a strong desire for us to try to reach everybody who had been identified as having a cost increase due to this change. And we identified at the close of open enrollment after November 7th, there were 275 employees who were identified to have a cost increase based on our mapping, who took no action. So we didn't see them logging in at all. Didn't see them any calls to the call center for any reason. No contact whatsoever. I fully understand there are a percentage of employees that actually read what we sent them and said, okay, that's fine, and didn't have a desire to do anything. But we want the goal is still to have 100% of those individuals do something, right? Acknowledge that this is happening and they consent to it. So we did extra reach out. We did extra effort on trying to contact those individuals. Out of that 275 group, 91 or approximately 1/3 of them are half-time individuals. And based on how the subsidy structure works, they tend to be in an odder position. So we sent them an email if we could. A lot of those half-time folks don't have email, but we sent them an email if we could, but we followed up with a letter. And then my staff called each one of them individually directly. There were a number of them that we did not have a valid phone number for, like the number that was listed in HR's in Workday was no longer valid, wasn't updated. So we talked with their departments trying to contact them. We did as much as we possibly can to try to make sure that they could pay attention. We've reached a percentage of them. We haven't reached all of them. So we're going to continue on trying to make sure that we can get to those half-time folks so that they know what's happening. And then the full-time group, which is the stronger population, that's the group that we talked about for the most part in this, that we're going from $0 to $66 a paycheck. There's 184 of them that took no action. They all got emails and letters. So they still have ability to make a correction in concept, for if they honestly did not see anything or understand what was going on. And a further detail of this group, just in case you want to see break by break. So on page 3 and 4 is the summary of where they land by MOU. And then attachment E is the anonymous breakdown of every individual by MOU and the plan change, cost change that they have out of this group. And targeted conversations are also in the attachment. So in addition to those groups of individuals that did not take an action whatsoever, we also identified about 15, and this is at the top of page 5, about 15 employees who enrolled into our brand new HDHP plan, but then also simultaneously elected a help savings account, which is helpful flexible spending account. Those words are so close together. The HCFSA, which the IRS says is not a good thing. You're going to have a bad experience if you do that. So we tried to contact all 15 of them and tell them, are you sure? And we'll continue to do that for any new elections that move forward, just to make sure that everybody knows what they do. So we're a little early to talk about what migration looks like, but we're going to give you an attempt. So this is starting on page 5 and really going into the massive tables in pages 6 and 7 is an attempt to show what the current migration looks like. When we talked about budget finances, the little chart that's on page 5 is the anticipated draft budget changes for migration, right? The choices that individuals make are going to greatly change the overall cost to the city if they move into more expensive plans. But our target migration was the best case scenario kind of in the middle of that, where we put people where they were mapped. And on the chart on 6, which is on the screen, if you can read all that, that's the same chart that we brought forward when we were talking about the selection of our health plans when we did that back in May. And the next chart is where people are landing. This is still the one that's in blue. I know those numbers are really tiny, but it's still draft data. It's still not audited data, and it's still data subject to change. So somebody who made an election to move into, for example, a family plan and add their dependents, if they don't give us those documents by the deadline, which is next week, we drop their dependents and move them back to the coverage that they, if they made a coverage change that they wanted or that had as an individual. So these numbers can still move on purpose outside of any last correction we make with anybody. But as of right now, and I will note too, there is a change or a difference by about 200 lives in the total enrollment, which is still weird. This is unaudited data. But it is reflecting that there is a decrease in Kaiser enrollment and an increase in PPO enrollment. And then we're seeing about a little over 100 individuals that have actively selected the HDHP. So the HDHP was, we didn't default anybody to a PPO plan. Anybody who is currently in the PPO, we kept them in the new PPO. So anybody in that first section for HDHP, they actively chose that plan. And so I'm actually kind of impressed by the enrollment. I didn't think it was going to be, we didn't know what to expect, but 120 some odd people like what they saw and are moving to that one. But the PPO number overall is higher than what we had before. So we are seeing migration happen. We will continue to look at this and give an update fiscally. I'm hoping to do that by the next meeting that we have of what this looks like. And then we will give a full update to a migration that's planned with the TELUS report when it comes through, when everything is all confirmed and done and able to move forward. Any questions so far before we move on to the next sections? On page 8 is a snapshot into what people did for plan tier changes. The dependent audit is a big conversation that we're going to be having in 2026. This open enrollment was the ability for someone to remove dependents that are ineligible and not get in trouble for it, right? The amnesty window. So we were intrigued to see who might have changed plans and who might have decreased. So that the column on the right can be for any reason. It doesn't mean to be that somebody took off their dependent because they are ineligible, but the columns highlighted in red would be where those land. So it's just about 200 or so. This is plan tier change, not individual level change. But we did definitely, the data is showing that we're seeing an increase in dependence, not a decrease in dependence as far as plan tier changes go for this open enrollment. So we didn't see a monumental shift in people dropping dependents. It's almost staying status quo. And then the next section goes starting at the bottom of page 8 still into the continuity of care discussion. We had talked about continuity of care as a big item. It is still a big item, but in our conversations with employees during open enrollment, we note that there is a lot of confusion and a lot of misunderstanding in just how healthcare works. And there is a little concern in employees not fully understanding what continuity care is, applying for it when it doesn't exist, being denied, and then because it's not a situation, and then being upset by that. So we want to try to make sure that we can understand what the experience is going to be with an employee when they submit their continuity of care application to the health plan, what that communication is, and then at which we're in development to finalize. To understand how that works and what they're specifically going to be telling individuals, and then build our communications after that so that we can try to get people to focus and understand on putting an application in when it is appropriate. And then we can also be able to better respond to somebody if they get upset because they got denied, and know that, oh, well, the reason why they got denied is because the situation didn't apply, so that we can be able to combat that.
Do most,
go ahead.
question, I'm sorry. Do most folks, when they submit the applications, they submit them online?
I'm looking at our consultants. Yes, they can.
So I'm wondering, like, with that, is there like a way to just kind of do like maybe a quick 1 or 2 minute video that talks about like, look, these are the instances of when this applies?
I
'Cause
think.
I know a lot of times people don't, is that something that already exists or?
Well, it might exist. I'm not sure if it is, but I think we definitely could do that.
To maybe try and help make, I mean, because as we know, people just don't like to read. As evidenced by so many reports that we come and see month by month. But like, but folks may be interested in looking at a new video, and then that'll be something that can help them from being disappointed and things not applying. Like, you know what? Does this, or is this, or this applicable? If not, then like, yeah, don't continue, go somewhere else and surf on the internet.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think we can put that together.
Okay.
And just to cover a base and say publicly, the main situations that this applies for is a loss in doctor, a loss in ability to seek services. And where we saw a lot of employees confused is understanding who their doctor was and how that doctor applied to their situation. And so a lot of employees think their specialist is the doctor that they need to verify, but as long as the specialist is with the medical group that they're in, they're fine. And a lot of times we encountered employees who they're PCP listed, they're saying, oh, I don't see that doctor anymore. I haven't seen them in forever, but that's still their PCP. So there's confusion there, a heavy amount of confusion. And then the other component is it has to be active treatment of a certain kind. It can't be inactive treatment. It can't be treatment that is planned for later or a condition that is chronic but stable. Like it needs to be a certain type of treatment. So that's where we want to be able to exactly that, have a clear and for people to be successful and still not deter anyone from applying that needs to apply. And then the last component, and so we do still anticipate being able to communicate our continuity of care application communication campaign, I guess, in this month. The window has officially started. And then the rest of this report is next steps, which are continued from the last discussion. We still have to close out the enrollment, send them to the carriers, get the cards all have the carriers issue their cards, and make sure everything's great on payroll. Any questions?
Well, I just had on continuity of care. Can you give us a sense of, and maybe it's in the report, but just like how many members kind of are? Do we have a sense?
It's not clear. Okay. We don't have a sense. So it can apply for a voluntary change as well, even though it doesn't sound like it should. So somebody who goes from a PPO to an HMO, for example, that could still be, just making sure I'm saying things correctly. That as long as there's a doctor loss, it can still apply whether it's a voluntary and not change.
Nice.
And so right now we don't have a good concrete auditing understanding how frequent that could be that somebody actually had a loss of. And that's the only aspect we can look at. We don't have access to treatment records. We don't have access to be able to see who's seeking what. So we could only look at if there is a presumed doctor loss.
And then on just the part you talked about, the nuance of like active treatment, is that like a designated, and forgive me as a layperson, but like through a primary care physician or specialist, is somebody who is actively being treated? Is that, it's designated somewhere? It's like kind of written in stone rather than subject to interpretation.
Maybe your consultant can answer that better if you wanted to come to the table.
Meaning, is there like a gray area that could be really concerning for a
Gray area, but there is there are guidelines. So, and it's listed on the websites for both the carriers. And so people can go online to see what the process is, what would be considered something that would be transition of care or continuity of care eligible. But it will have to do with the doctor and the provider and the member, applying for that coverage. So it's not just an automatic, like, I have cancer, I'm going through treatment, I'm automatically going to be able to keep that doctor.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any question on you? Not for you. I'm looking at the very long chart, attachment 8. that shows the people who hadn't taken any action. I'm particularly concerned about the half-timers
Yes.
who are going from no, and these are per pay period, right?
These are per pay period, and these are because we map them to the doctor that they currently have. There are zero cost options for them. But they have to, for us to be consistent, we kept everybody in the same way. So we map people based on the doctor that they have. So if they want to move to a zero cost option, they can. But it would be up to them to identify that they are for sure going to lose their doctor, and or identify that that is something they're willing to do to be able to have $0. I can say I personally talked to a lot of members during open enrollment, and I was surprised with the number of people that I talked to that were willing to pay or wanting to pay a larger amount to be able to still see their doctor. That was more important to a select number of people than to make a change.
And I'm concerned about the people who haven't been reached, who are going to go from 0 to $700 a month.
And we are actively trying to contact them as much as we can. I don't know if there's another.
Defaulting them, right? We're defaulting them to that.
Correct. Yes.
Is there a way to not default them?
I think the concern kind of in taking a different action with people that we haven't talked to is why are we carving them out opposed to everybody else, right? Like why did we choose to take a different direction with these individuals opposed to the 25,000 others?
What is their drop dead date to like take some action? I know it's not being advertised, but.
So how we are handling this is going to be situational, right? So if we're able to contact one of these people and they say, I didn't know any of this was happening, I just found out about this, and we have actually talked to members already who have said, oh, I've been out of the country for the past month or so, or I've been on disability or on leave. So there's legitimate situations where somebody did not see something, and so we can have administrative corrections done in those cases. So in those cases, I'm not going to say that there is a hard deadline.
Ever? I mean, even after January 1st?
Well, after January 7th, get more complicated. So I think it would be more difficult to be able to say that. Not completely impossible, but I think the strongest effort out of this group, out of the 91, we did talk with, I think, almost half so far, and we're still trying to continue to reach those additional individuals. I think the other complication is with that halftime group because of their working schedule, and because a lot of them also too are just I hate to say it, but old school, right? They just don't have technology at their ready. There is delays just in just ability and reach out, and so. Even from their HR, we've talked to their HR on all of these cases, and in some cases, they're saying, oh yeah, we're going to plan to talk to that person again in January. We're not going to hear again from them in a while, right? Or whatever their setup is for how their employment schedule is.
Presumably you'll hear from them in January when they see their paycheck.
Yeah. Yes.
But that's too late or administratively burdensome because it's now in the Workday in the payroll system.
Right. Exactly. It does. It adds a whole bunch of additional layers to the situation.
And also just to piggyback on your question, if it's after they've already made the payment, they wouldn't be in a position to be able to roll back what they paid.
Correct.
It would just be from this point forward.
That is generally how we would be able to look at something.
I hope you guys get the rest of those votes. I do have a question though. Will we be able to get a final report that shows like what the migration looked like from plan to plan, and really like kind of like where all the Vivity people ended up landing?
Yes. So when TELUS presents in, I think we're scheduling them for March.
Okay.
They do have that deck, and so that will be after they have concluded everything. Because we have, we still have new hires that are coming in, which and other changes that happen. So there's constantly moving figures, but they plan to have their deck provide isolated open enrollment information as well as current to have that detail. But we'll continue to bring updates And part of that, I think, is going to be the fiscal conversation that I plan to bring at next meeting.
I think it's super important too, to just highlight how all the work that you and your team have been doing to try and get to all these people. I know as somebody that works in trying to communicate with folks, phone banking and all that stuff, like online, phone, carrier pigeon, whatever. You guys, I appreciate the work that you guys have been doing, and thank you.
I have a separate question on the dependent eligibility verification or this amnesty time program. Was that information just contained in the big package, or was it like a pop-up when they were online doing their, was it just kind of in that big package?
It was in the big package. It was a little bit of both. It was mostly, and I think I maybe see where you're going. It was consistently communicated in tandem with a lot of other items, right? So in emails and notices that we mailed out, it was one of the bullet points. When somebody went online, they would see the item pop up. They may or may not have understood it because it didn't specifically say dependent eligibility audit. It just said provide your enrollment form documents or your supporting documents. We can do additional communication. The ability for somebody to make a correction, right, or drop a dependent still technically is not gone if somebody wants to identify something, but or at least not completely 100% closed, right? I think we could do something if that is the direction that
The
you're.
pop-up didn't make them understand that if they didn't remove somebody now who wasn't eligible, that they could be charged later?
That's a good question. I can go back and check the wording exactly and then bring that back at next meeting.
I just expect calls, down the road, so that'd be great if you could,
Sure.
let us know.
And we are planning to, so the next step in that is to discuss and iron out the implementation phase with the selected vendor. And then we will be bringing back the dependent eligibility audit discussion to this committee on a regular basis before we get to the actual launch of it. So there will be lots of additional communications on that front.
So, and just to be clear, as being an employee with a dependent, we were not tasked during open enrollment with verifying. It's going to come later. Right?
Correct. So the everyone has the ability to provide documents now. Actually, that ability has not been taken away. So you can still, whether you made a change or not, you can still provide dependent documents for your account. And then that way they're on file, and then you have less to do and hopefully nothing to do when we actually do the audit. The only people that are required to provide documents now through open enrollment are ones that added an independent making a change. And so there is a distinction between those two actions. It may not be as clear to somebody if they just glance at it, but there is a distinction between those two requirements or actions for any employee. But we are just to further lock it down. We aren't going to drop anybody's dependent through the dependent amnesty option if they didn't take action now. The requirement would be that they'd have to submit documents whenever we actually get the dependent audit going, which is planned to be around spring. And then at that point, it will be a required action as a part of those documents, and they will get dropped if they don't provide them.
And could get penalized.
If we identify fraud, if we identify that the dependent is ineligible, then they could get penalized, yes. And we would charge them for the period that the city paid for that ineligible dependent to be covered. Any other questions?
Guess we'll just still do our best to try and reach out to folks, I guess, just in general, maybe with communications on double check your stuff. January could look kind of crazy for you, but all right, if there's no other questions, we can move on to the final informational item. Committee Report 2545, projects and activities.
I'll take this one too. It should be rather quick. So the first page identifies a couple network updates. There was a prior report of the scripts change for Anthem, which was confirmed as being settled. So the prescription update there for employees will be resolved. And Kaiser had a union matter of striking that they had notified us, but there wasn't any identified notable disruption to ongoing services that they were clear about. The open enrollment update there adds the additional note of that we sent reminder notices to, and this actually plays to what we just talked about. There's about 500 employees who physically made a change, adding a dependent who are changing the dependent status to whatever, where they do need to provide documents. So there's about 550 employees that do need to provide documents for their dependent to stay in coverage. And then maybe the more notable part of this report is a change in staffing. So we're happy to announce that Renee Hill has joined our team. She's a senior personnel analyst with our division now. Renee will be working over member services. And Gabby DeBarrio is also joined our team. You already heard from her on the presentation today. She's a personnel analyst who'll be joining our team working in communications and a number of other items. And we have a couple of promotions as well. Daniel promoted to senior benefits analyst too. Mindy is promoted to senior benefits analyst, and Karina is promoted to.
Welcome. Congratulations.
Welcome.
And that is pretty much the update for the report.
Awesome. All right, concluding items. Any future agenda items we put out there? Okay, next regular meetings are listed. With that, we can go ahead and conclude the meeting at 10:05.
Thank you.
All right, thanks you guys.
Look at her.
Look at that.
Workers' comp or off work?
So we. Good. I'm glad.
My goodness.
How are
You
things
taking any
otherwise?
time off?
Gonna get things?
Kind of.
Yeah.
I think the way we're doing it is last 2 weeks, holiday weeks. I'll work on the Monday of those weeks and then I'll be off.
Yeah.
You know, Tuesday through Friday. We're not, right, we're loosely thinking about going to Las Vegas, but
Yeah.
we don't have any like hard plans to go.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah.
Yeah, what about you?
Yeah.
I've presented myself as a martyr, so
Oh,
I'm staying while
have
my
you done?
just stay. I'm staying, let my team take off. But I'm like, you know what? Tell your people that you're gonna be gone and you don't know what's gonna happen.
Right, exactly.
Tell you you're gonna be gone and don't be calling.
We're actually, the kids and I are.
Don't call me.
Different
Don't call
houses.
anybody.
Exactly.
Just handle your own
Our
fires.
house-
Put out your
them-
own fire.
Tell them that you will see them when you get back.
My daughter's 11, and it's like,